fruit production, that is 97.4 million metric tons, and second largest vegetable production, that is 178 million metric tons, and the second rank in rice and wheat production. Next. Next. So why we are going for this IFS? So the population is in the increasing trend, whereas the cultivable land area is in the decreasing trend. So, to meet the food requirement of the growing population, we need to produce more food. So if you see the year 2030, the population would be about 137 crores, and we have to feed the people with 289 million tons of food from 141.3 million hectares land area. So the land holding is also shrinking. So less than 4 hectare area, that is 93% area is occupied with less than 4 hectare land holding, that is about 50, that covers about 55% of arable cultivation. So whereas if you see the bigger land holding, that is more than 10 hectares, it is about 1.6% area, and now the average farm size is less than 1.57 hectare. Okay, next slide please. Okay. So if you see the current status, the land holding is a fragmented holdings due to higher increased population. And previous slide. So the farmers get seasonal employment and from the seasonal income. So, and often get high crop failures due to monsoon failure, and farmers due to lesser area, the small land holding, the farmers are going for the single commodity farming. This rice means rice alone. Likewise, then horizontal expansion, that is increasing the area, is has a little scope, and we are the resource base is in the deteriorating trend. So the options available for us is intensification of cropping for higher land productivity. So we have to grow more food production. So the naturally we have to increase the productivity of each and everything. It may be a crop or a livestock. Something. Then integration of cropping with allied enterprise, that is integrated farming system. So what is farming system? You all know. So it is inclusion of other enterprises like livestock or horticulture unit or apiary, dairy, everything, or mushroom. With there is allied enterprises along with cropping in the farm family. So the farmer allocate his resources in different enterprises. So in a simple way, the farm family, they invest capital and the labor for raising crops, and they get back food and cash from the crops. Similarly, they get the manure, that is a fodder for their livestock. So from the livestock, they get food like meat and egg, something like that, and also cash from the livestock. So here also for this enterprise also, they are investing some capital and labor. So this is a cyclic link. If you see the IFS goals, the main aim of integrated farming system is maximization of productivity and resource recycling for sustainable soil. From the crop residue have to be converted into manure, and it has to be again returned to the crop for sustaining the soil health. Similarly, from the livestock also, the manure and also the manure can be put for recycled to the soil, and the generation of steady and stable income. So thereby we can increase the standard of living of resource poor farmers. Then reduced use of chemical inputs. If you are, suppose if you are recycling the farm waste, we can reduce the purchase of external inputs. Okay. So if you see the feasible components, so we have three different ecosystems, namely wetland, irrigated upland, and dryland. Irrigated upland is nothing but garden land. So in each ecosystem, the enterprises, the choice of enterprise may be varying. So the cropping is common. Wetland crops, you know, rice, banana, sugarcane, turmeric. So cropping, along with that, we can choose enterprises like fishery, poultry, forestry, pigeon, goat, duck, pig, mushroom, and fodder. Similarly, in gardenland situation, along with crop, we can rear milch cows, buffalo, biogas, then spawn production, mushroom, homestead gardens, silviculture, then sericulture, etc. Similarly, in dry land, along with cropping, goat, see in some places, sheep also, then agroforestry, horticulture, trees, pigeon, rabbit, farm pond, fish, etc. So these are all the enterprises we can choose along with cropping in different ecosystem. So first we'll see the wetland ecosystem. So this is one of the experiment conducted at TNAU Coimbatore. So they have taken 1 hectare area and they have taken this crop along with the crop. They raised fodder for the goat unit and also goat, fish. So integrated farming system, the three different systems. First system is crop, fish, poultry. Poultry 20 backcock layers. Then second treatment, crop, fish, pigeon with 40 pairs of pigeon. Then third treatment, crop plus fish plus goat plus and there is a telecherry breed in deep litter system. So you can see the area allotment or allocation for different enterprise. So then cropping sequence in wetland, as you all know, this sugarcane, banana, that is a plant sugarcane, followed by ratoon sugarcane, followed by rice, banana. This is a 3 years sequence. And the next treatment is banana, turmeric, followed by rice, followed by banana. This is also 3-year rotation. And another treatment, maize, followed by rice, followed by sesame, followed by sun. Then regard fodder crops, since we are maintaining animal, this Bajra Napier plus Desmanthus in 3:1 ratio. It's maintained as perennial. And fish component, that is here in fish pond, the pond size is 0.04 hectare and with a depth of 1.5 meter. Here in that 400 polyculture fingerlings like Katla, Rogu, Mrigal or common carp and grass carp at the ratio of 40:20:30:10 ratio or 4:2:3:1 ratio they have run. And in crop component, IFS, this rice, banana, this maize, and sugarcane. So these are all the different crop components. Then in another treatment, they have raised poultry shed above the fish pond. So poultry fish integration. So here the whatever the poultry droppings, they will act as a feed for the fingerlings. Fish rearing in IFS, this pond area I told you 40 meters square and the water level is for 90 to 100 centimeter height and the stocking density 1 fingerling per meter square. And I told the polyculture fishes, then yield around 300 to 350 kilograms per 400 meter square area. And while including this pigeon, pura, as a component in IFS, so normally this pigeon are maintained as open grazing in farming system area. After the harvest of rice, they can feed or otherwise in the morning hours, they will go to the field and the evening hours, late evening hours, it will come to the shed. And if you see the integration or resource recycling in lowland IFS area, so from paddy, the paddy is raised in 0.9 hectare area, 443. So the paddy straw, with the help of paddy straw, we can raise mushroom. The mushroom production is about 5 kg per day. And the mushroom spent is utilized as manure in the rice field. Similarly, if you see the left hand side, this byproducts of rice can be fed to the pigeon or poultry or as goat. So the voids can be the above the fish pond. They'll rear this poultry or goat. So the voids can be used as a feed for the fingerlings, and the fingerlings from the fish pond, the silt will be after the harvest of fishes. The silt will be tank silt, pond silt will be recycled into the field. Thereby, we can reduce the purchase of chemical fertilizers. So, if you see the nutrient value of recycled poultry or pigeon or goat manure in IFS, so I told you the number of birds or animals. It is in the case of poultry, we have maintained about 20 layers, and pigeon 40 pairs, and goat 3 numbers, isn't it? So the droppings per year is about 700 kg in case of poultry and pigeon, whereas in goat it is about 810 kg. And the pond silt from the we have, for the experimental purpose, we have maintained 3 ponds, and the pond silt from each pond it will be about 4.5 tons. So from the poultry component, the raw poultry dropping, if you see, analyze the poultry droppings, the N content is about 3.22%, whereas P2O5 it is 2.5 and K2O is 1.05. So if you calculate for 700 kg dropping per year, from 700 kg, we could able to get about 22.5 kg nitrogen, 17.5 kg P2O5, and 7.4 plus K. So if you see the pond manure, the percentage of nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium is given, and from the 4.5 tons pond manure, we can get about 88.2 kg nitrogen, 45.9 percentage of kg of P2O5, and 32.4 kg of potassium. So the nutrient gained by recycling is say 82.2 minus 22.5. So we are not applying the poultry manures directly to the crop. If you apply directly to the crop, you can get about only 22.5 kg N, 17.5 kg P2O5, and 7.4 kg potassium. But since we are recycling as a pond manure, the value of nutrient get increased. So the nutrient gained by recycling is about 65.7 kg N, 28 kg P2O5, and 25 kg potassium. The similar way, the pigeon dropping, if you the raw pigeon dropping, the nutrient content is less, whereas when it is fed to pigeon and the pigeon dropping added to pond, the manure, the value of the manure get increased. Similarly, so the nutrient value of mushroom spent. So normally the paddy straw contain about 0.62 percentage of nitrogen, 0.24% phosphorus, and 1.72 percentage of potassium. Whereas the mushroom spent, it is has more nutrients. See, it is a 0.71, 0.29, 1.74. So the nutrient added is, it's given 16.6, 6.8, and 34.6 kg NPK per hectare. Whereas the additional benefit through recycling is 5.4 kg nitrogen, 2.5 kg phosphorus, and 3.6 kg potassium. So whatever may be the enterprise, if you apply the raw manure to the crop, the nutrient content will be less. Once you recycle, the nutrient value get increased. That is the concept here. Next. So here you can see the I already told you the nutrient addition, residue addition, and also the nutrient addition in different cropping system. See, if you see the table, you can see the crop alone, that is the control, and the another three is different farming system: crop, poultry, fish, mushroom, crop plus pigeon plus fish plus mushroom, crop plus fish plus mushroom. So among that, the residue addition is more in case of crop, poultry, fish, mushroom, or crop plus pigeon plus fish plus mushroom. So you can see the nutrient addition also. And the system productivity. What is meant by system productivity? Actually, in cropping system, farming system experiment, you cannot compare the yield of different crops as such. One crop may be rice, another followed by pulses, something like that. So you have to convert into equivalent yield. So here in case of wetland, the main crop is rice. So the other crop yields are converted into rice grain equivalent. So if you see that is nothing but suppose if the value of paddy is rice is 20 rupees per kg, means value of pulse is some 50 rupees per kg. So 50 multiplied by the yield, whatever may be the yield, suppose if the yield of a pigeon pea is, black gram is 600 kilograms, 600 into 50 divided by 20, that will give you the rice grain equivalent. So this value you have to add with rice value and you have to convert it. Then only you can compare the yields. So the component productivity you can see from crop alone, it is the system productivity is 12,995. And if you see the crop plus fish plus poultry, you can see the contribution. Crop, it is 26,352. From poultry, rice grain equivalent of fishes is it's about 1,205. So totally the system productivity is 29,609. So the system productivity, if you see the different farming system, the system productivity is higher in case of crop plus fish plus goat. So the percentage over conventional cropping system, that is crop alone, it is 190% increase over conventional cropping. So here the economic analysis of IFS. So the control is given in the first row. The gross return, production cost, that is cost of cultivation, gross return, net return, then benefit cost ratio and per day return are given. So if you see the table, you can see the highest net return, BC ratio and per day return is obtained from cropping plus fish plus goat integrated farming system. So similarly, the employment generation in different cropping system when compared to crop alone. In crop alone, it is 369 man days, whereas in other IFS system, it is more than 500 man days. So this is another system, rice, fish plus azolla farming system. So in rice field, bigger trenches will be cut and in the trenches, fishes will be reared. So here, from the azolla, the planktons will be placed and the planktons will act as feed material for the fingerlings. And another, this bioresource flow model of rice, fish, azolla integrated farming system. So you can see this aquatic productivity. So the main crop is rice, and along with the rice, fish is also raised. And for rice, we are giving green leaf manure and azolla as dual crop, or green leaf manure or green manure or as dual crop, azolla can be there. So azolla is a biofertilizer, you all know. So plankton will be there in the field from green leaf manure. When you raise this azolla as well as incorporate green leaf manure, the planktons available in the field will be used as feed for the fishes. Similarly, the fish waste will be settled in the fish trenches, and that can be recycled as nutrient to the rice crop. Okay, so similarly, this green manure act as organic manure to the rice field. So this is the resource recycling in rice fish azolla system. You see the nitrogen budget in rice fish azolla farming system. So these are the three sequences, that is a rice azolla fish, rice azolla plus calotropis fish. That is calotropis is a green leaf manure. So here the initial level of nitrogen is given. It is about ranging from 221 to 227 kg N per hectare. So the nitrogen added in 1 year, it is around 100 to 190 kg nitrogen per hectare. Crop removal ranges from 82 to 93. And available nitrogen is ranging from 219 to 251. So here if you see the net gain or loss, when you raise rice followed by rice, the net loss is there. See, it is -8. So the nitrogen depletion will takes place due to continuous rise. But in case of rice azolla or fish sequence, there will be addition of nitrogen from the azolla as well as the fish excreta. So similarly, this gain will be more in case of the third system. That is here we have included one more crop, that is calotropis, that is a green leaf manure crop. And now we'll see the integrated farming system in irrigated upland, that is garden land. So in Coimbatore is we are operating on All India Coordinator Research Project on integrated farming system. So this Coimbatore is the main center. We are catering the needs of this developing IFS model for garden land ecosystem. Similarly, we have one sub-center at Swamri, Tanjavur. They are developing model of IFS at wetland ecosystem, that is for Kaveri Delta zone. And we have two OFR centers, one at ARS Bhavani Sagar and one at TCRS Yetapur. So whatever the models developed at main center and sub center, they will be adopted in farmers field, and they will survey the farmers field. They are conducting 3 experiments in each station. They are conducting 3 experiments, and they will give solutions for the whatever may be the existing cropping system or farming system. They will give solutions or give advice for the farmers. They will intervene and give some suggestions to increase the productivity and also net income. So the objective of this sustainable resource management for climate smart IFS is to identify ecologically and economically viable enterprise for different region under climate change scenario, and undertake resource budgeting in system perspective with a specific reference to soil, water, nutrient and energy. Evaluate and identify low carbon production module in the system, and to evaluate and identify secondary agriculture revenues in farming system perspective for attracting rural youth. So actually the previous title is identification of crop model IFS models for different regions. Now the title has been changed as sustainable resource management for climate smart IFS. Nowadays the rainfall is changing, and often we get drought. So what are the resources or enterprises include? What when you include which enterprise the carbon production is more, likewise we have to analyze. Similarly, instead of selling the crop produce or livestock produce as such, we have to have some value addition, and if you sell it, the value will be more, so that we can attract rural youths for this farming. That is the main idea. And the experimental detail, we have selected 1 hectare representing small farmer need. So the components we have selected is crop, horticulture, dairy, goat, poultry, kitchen garden, then boundary planting, vermicompost. So the cropping system, crops. So this again divided into 4 cropping sequences to cater the need of the carbohydrate need, then protein, oil seed, then also improving the soil health of the green.
You're speaking over the
So the 4 cropping systems, so cowpea, ragi, green manure. So in Kharif, in one sequence, we are raising pulse, grain pulse, then ragi, millet, then followed by third season, it is a green manure crop. In all the sequence, the summer crop is a green manure crop. So since the different crops have different duration, so to start the Kharif sowing uniformly, we have chosen this third crop as green manure. So in the fifth sequence is to cater the need of animals. That is, we are raising fodder crops. That is, the area allocation is also given. That is perennial fodder, 1,500 meters square area. In the that is the Coimbatore Bajra Napier 5 and Desmanthus is raised. That is Sangrasilia raised fodder trees. So it is maintained as silvipasture. There is in the Sencrest field we have raised trees like Thespesia, that is Porus, Glyricidea, then Kadamba. So it in the area allocated is about 1,000 meters square area. And in horticulture unit, we are the area allocation is 1,000 meters square, and the fruit trees maintained are Sapota, Anola, that is Amla, then pomegranate, acid lime. So the start of the year, actually, this experiment has been initiated in the year 2010. So one set of experiment has been completed, and now we have started the second set of experiment. This is with regard to cropping horticulture. Next slide, please. Next slide. So another component, dairy, 2 HF crossbred animal, milch cows plus 2 calves. So after that, we have for 1 year, 2010, up to September 2010, we have maintained this, and after that, sorry, up to March 2019, we have maintained this crossbred cows, and after that, we have changed to Gir and Shahiwal. We have sold that crossbred animal, and we have now we are maintaining Gir cow. And the goat unit, we have previously we maintained Tellicherry goat 10+1. Now we have changed it to Salem Black 12+1 animal. Area allocation is 50 meters square area for each component. And poultry, we are maintaining 150 numbers per year. That is 50 numbers per batch. 3 batches will be reared. And kitchen garden, so seasonal vegetables like bendi, amaranthus, green amaranthus, red amaranthus, then avarai, then cluster beans, bendi. So these are the vegetable crops we are maintaining in the kitchen garden. Then border crops, curry leaf, annual moringa, glyricidea, and ahati, that is Sesbania grandiflora. So the curry leaf will be sold periodically, and this moringa, glyricidea, Sesbania grandiflora, the branches will be cut and fed to animals. And in vermicompost unit, 50 meters square area, and the area under supporting activities, it is about 100 meters square. So you can see the yield from different crop sequences, and they are converted into maize equivalent yield. And you can see the maize equivalent yield. It is more in case of rosso millet, followed by chilies, followed by green manure, and the gross return and the total cost of cultivation, net return is given. And among the cropping sequence, this proso millet followed by chilies followed by green manure is the highest net return.
Components.
And the last one is the fodder component. So this is the view of our IFS experiment. This is annual crops. This is horticulture unit, border unit, and in that side, that is fodder unit. Some of the crops. Then horticulture unit, we have raised the sapota, guava, amla, pomegranate, acid lime. But see, we have some problem in harvesting this guava and pomegranate due to squirrel problem. And the sapota, we are getting some yield. Similarly, border trees. So the net return from border trees about 16,000. So you can see some of the use of our orchard company. This is curry leaf. This is moringa border plant, pomegranate, sapota, kitchen garden area. So next component is dairy. Here the different the expenditure incurred and the receipt are given. So that cost involved is about 2 lakhs 5,000. And here the major cost goes to labor for maintaining these animals. But the receipt is about 2,61,314 by sale of milk, dung, urine, shed waste, and sale of animals. Okay, so the total net return was about 56,314. And this is another common goat rearing. This is 10+1 Tellicherry goat. Now it has been converted to 12+1 Salem plat. So here also you can see the expenditure and also the receipt. So the total expenditure okay. So okay. So if you see the table, the total cost involved is about 85,246 per year, and the gross return is 1,51,690, and the net return is about 66,444. So these are some of the photographs of different animal component. And poultry, previous slide. So I told you this is a Gir cow, and this one is Shahiwal, and the Salem Black, Asil birds. So these are the goats grazing in the Sengras unit. Okay, next. So poultry, the native birds, Asil is maintained. We are rearing 50 birds per batch. So we are maintaining 3 batches per year. So the total net return is about 8,832 after meeting out the expenditure of about 28,680. Then vermicompost unit, the total value of vermicompost produced is about 40,005, and from the compost unit are getting about 25,806 rupees. See, the crop residue portion will be fed to animals, and the balance will be converted into compost, and part will be converted into vermicompost. So the vermicompost, since the nutrient content of this vermicompost is higher than the compost unit, more of vermicompost production is encouraged, and after meeting our needs, we are selling the balance to the farmers. Okay, next slide. Residue recycled and nutrient generated in the year 2018-19. So you can see from the dairy unit, the dung and shed waste is about 5,894. That is vermicompost produced, and from crop residues, the vermicompost produced is about 4,952. Sorry, 50. So the nutrient content is given, so automatically the nutrient addition is calculated. So from each unit, from dairy unit, goat waste, poultry litter, the total nutrient addition is about 205 kg nitrogen, 87.3 kg phosphorus, and 131 kg potassium. So automatically the purchase of external inputs can be reduced by recycling the farm input. So the employment generation from each enterprise is given. So totally the man days generated or employment generated is 551 man days per year in this model. So these are some of the photos. So this is the flow chart showing the recycling flow chart. So this is a center place. We have farmhouse. The different enterprises are given, and from each component, how much quantity of see if you see the crop component, the dry fodder produced, green fodder produced, and how much quantity is recycled to dairy unit, and from dairy unit, how much quantity of dung is produced, and what is the price. And similarly, the compost yard, so how much quantity of poultry waste added to the yard. So this is the recycling flow chart. So by seeing this flow chart, you can see how much quantity of produce is obtained from each component and how much is recycled to the other component likewise. So what is the saving in purchase input? We can, so next. So the total maize equivalent yield recorded by the system during 2018-19 was 43.30 tons. And cropping recorded the highest maize equivalent yield of 13.95 tons, followed by dairy and goat. That is, equivalent yield means that all the production is converted into the price, and they will be divided by the price of maize. So maize equivalent yield. Okay. So IFS model recorded an overall gross return of 9 lakhs, and the net return of was about 3 lakhs 63,000. This ratio is 1.59. So next. So this is a rainfed ecosystem, and this actually this experiment was conducted by some PhD students of previous batches. So they maintained the silvipasture. This is silvipasture means along with grasses, some trees are raised. Then goat unit, Tellicherry. So the nutrient gain from 20+1 Tellicherry goats in maintained in deep litter system. So the number of kiddings per year is 1.5. Number of kids per kidding is about average is 1.5. So number of kids per year and as well as adult is 2.25. So total number of kids from 20 adult. Since we are maintaining 20 females and 1 male, the total kids from 20 female is about 45. So the mean weight of droppings recorded per day, that is excluded the pellets dropped in the grazing yard, that is about 900 grams from adult and 110 grams per kid. So total dropping received in a year from adult and kid is about 8.6 tons. So apart from that, in deep litter system, you are keeping some waste as a litter material. So the weight of fire waste used in stall per year, that is, we have to change 50 kilogram. Normally we maintain some 50 kg per week. We used to change that, and so in a year we get about 2.6 tons. So totally the deep litter system, the waste material obtained is about 11.2 tons. So the analytical value of deep litter system waste obtained from 1 unit of goat is about 1. This is a NPK content of that litter waste. So the total nutrient available from the goat unit, that is for 11.2 tons, is about 200 kg nitrogen, 106.4 kg phosphorus, and 91.8 kg potassium. So the residue addition in rainfed IFS. This is this trial was conducted by Esther Shekna in the year 2002, and this is control is conventional cropping system, that is a crop alone, and she has taken 3 treatments, including along with crop she has included pigeon, goat, agroforestry, farm pond, and also buffalo. So these are 3 systems. If you see the residue addition, the highest residue addition is about is from crop plus pigeon plus goat plus buffalo plus agroforestry farm pond. So if you see the integrated farming system, in all the system, the residue addition is more when compared to conventional cropping system. Similarly, the nutrient potential is also higher in IFS system. And in the IFS, among the IFS farming system, the last treatment, that is crop, pigeon, goat, buffalo, agroforestry, farm pond, the nutrient potential is more. Then productivity, economics, and employment generation in rainfed IFS, the same treatments. So the system productivity as well as net return and employment generation in each treatment is given. And this is, if you see the conventional cropping system, the system productivity is about 1,270. In all the other systems, IFS system, it is more than 4,700. And similarly, the net return and employment generations are higher in IFS system when compared to conventional system. So the resource recycling. So you can see the crops, that is mostly the drought tolerant crops are raised in like cholam, kambu, then silvipashes, this sungrass, stylosanthus hamata likewise. So the crop mostly 90% of the area is allocated for crops. The rest is for animal component or farm pond or other subsidiary enterprises. And this is the farm pond. And another experiment conducted by Dr. Mainavati, she has done experiment in optimization and stabilization of crop livestock silvipastoral farming system. So you all know the basic details, net cultivable area, 143.8 million hectares. In that rainfed area is 97 million hectares. All the land holdings, average farm size, and seasonal rainfall is very low. And in Tamil Nadu, most of the, there is more than 60% of the area is under rainfed situation. And nowadays, this Tamil Nadu government is giving subsidy to farmers for developing IFS models in their area by giving 1 lakh per farm. So actually, the total cost involved is about 2 lakhs per hectare, and government is giving subsidy of 50%, that is 1 lakh. So you all know the in this resource poor farmers, that is having land holding of 1 to 1.5 hectares, they can adopt. So the farming system, the farming scenario is given. The predominant crops are sorghum, bajra, napier, lucerne, desmanthus, cenchrus, and the livestock population is given. So this experiment was conducted in Tirupur area. It is average rainfall, annual rainfall is about 575.2 mm. And majority of the rainfall is received during northeast monsoon, that is 261.6 mm. And the grassland provide livelihood for the farmers. So the soil type is a red loam of high calcium rich gravel. So in that area, calcium rich soils, cenchrus as well as the desmanthus crops are coming up very well. So main crop grown is cenchrus. There is Cenchrus ciliaris, Cenchrus setigerus, and Cenchrus glaucus. Okay. So she has done some evaluation of different silvipastoral system, including trees as well as grasses. It is Acacia leucoploia in all the sequences, along with the Cenchrus ciliaris in trees. That is Cenchrus ciliaris in 2 treatments, that is Acacia first and second. Cenchrus setigerus in treatment 3 and 5. And the Stylosanthus hamata is a leguminous crop. It is raised in treatment number 2, 3, and 5. And Filipacera and fodder sorghum in treatment 4, along with Acacia leucoploia. This is the treatment schedule, and she has maintained some sheep 5 ewes plus 1 ram, buffalo 2 numbers. So you can see some of the photographs of the system. So the main farming system of the silvipasture system is locally called as Korangadu. Korangadu is a natural pastureland, consists of swaths of Cenchrus grass in between Acacia leucoploia, Azadirachta, that is neem, and Albizia vahi, with 6-meter row wide. And these pastures are fenced all around with live fence of thorny shrub, Camphophora There is kiluvai, that is highly drought tolerant. So the major tree species of flora, especially in 3 tiers, lower tier, that is automatically the height of the trees, grasses will be in the lower tier, that is Synchorus. The upper tier, it is Acacia leucoflora, and the middle tier, thorny shrub, that is Cambifora peri. So size of individual paddock is about 1.5 to 10 hectares. So you can see some of the views of Synchorus. This is Kiluvai, middle tier. You can see the lower tier Synchorus ciliaris, upper tier trees. So this is how they are maintaining the. Okay. So before sowing the stylus and the seeds, they are scarifying the seeds, mixing the seeds with mixing the seeds of Synchorus and stylus and this for sowing, and broadcasting vermicompost before plowing, and sowing the seeds to conserve moisture. So this is a general view of the experiment site after crop establishment. You can see the Synchorus as well as the stylus and this mixture in the establishment. And this is the flow chart. So recommendation is rational rotational grazing of 39 numbers of sheep per hectare of silk pasture land with Synchorus setigerus and stylus and the schemata, and fodder sorghum plus Filipacera system is suitable for western zone of Tamil Nadu. Similarly, you have to give some nutrients to the crops also. Then only the productivity will be more. So Synchorus setigerus plus stylus and the schemata, and fodder sorghum plus Filipacera plus sheep plus buffalo with recommended dose of 25, 45, 19 kg NPK for Synchorus based system, and 30, 20, 10 kg NPK for fodder sorghum based cropping system, along with FIM 10 tons is suitable for dry land, western zone of Tamil Nadu for enhanced productivity and profitability. Okay, so we have seen the IFS model for different ecosystem, wetland, gardenland, and dryland system. So whatever may be the ecosystem, the total outcome of this integrated farming system is increased productivity and profitability, balanced food. We get that is cereals, pulses, that is protein and oil seed, everything. From a kitchen garden, we have get balance. From vegetable crops also, we get balanced nutrient. Then resource recycling, thereby we can reduce the purchase input, reduce the cost of purchased inputs. Then money round the year by selling animals and meat, everything or crop produce, we get the farmer can able to get some money round the year. Then on and off farm employment, pollution-free environment, solve the problem of fodder prices, provide employment generation, and improve the standard of living of farmers. So the latest focus on farming rests on integrated farming system to have global food security. Thank you. If you have any doubt, you can please interact.